There's no better way to program your subconscious mind than listening to positive statements over and over. And there's no better way to do that than in a semi-meditative alpha brainwave state. I've created 3 prosperity meditations on hightimelinebooks.com to help you do just that. And for a limited time, you can get all 3 for the price of 2. So take your life to a higher vibe. Check them all out at hightimelinebooks.com. Well, if you've been watching the sky at night, you know what we're doing right now, don't you? Yeah. Would you join me? Ow! That is a coyote howl from the desert. I'll tell you that. The land of the coyote, well, we're howling at a full moon today. When does it happen? Well, probably about the time you're listening to this. 8:53 in the morning Eastern. That big, bold Leo moon that we talked about on Monday is at 24 degrees now in Leo, and it is big and bright and full. So in addition to the full moon today, we have a void of course moon. Of course, we have a 2:11 p.m. void of course, and it is in opposition to Mercury. So watch what you say today. Void of course lasts for 6 hours, and then at 8 p.m. tonight, the moon enters Virgo. Kristin mentioned on Monday that this was a good week to stay cautious, and that's illustrated again today. The moon, right before the full moon, is in a square to Uranus. I'll just mention that as well. Accidents through the day. We've just got this theme, you guys. We're going to be dealing with it while Uranus is still getting its feet back, and even then, Uranus can still represent accidents. So we just have to be extra cautious right now. You know, like they say, get your head on a swivel. Now, since this is a lighter week and coming from the van and the windows are open and some guy's hammering on a building project over here, you might hear a little bit of that. Dog might bark in the background. It's the sounds of nature. Thank goodness, being outdoors, right? Well, let's take a zoom out. I think we really need to start focusing our attention on what else is coming and how it's going to be impacting us as things are unfolding in front of us now. Awareness is a good thing, is it not? All right, Liz Grace talked yesterday about Mars ending retrograde on the 23rd. Yay. We have 2 really big retrogrades in April, and Kristin is going to talk about them. And being in April, you know that they are in Aries. You know, the spotlight of the chart really is going to shift to the sign of Aries for a while. Venus goes retrograde on March 1st, Mercury on the 15th. Fortunately, they are quick retrogrades. But for the last couple of weeks of March and the first week or 2 of April, we will have these 2 in retrograde together. Kristin does a great job explaining the Venus part tomorrow. And then, of course, we know Mercury is always the trickster. But there are a couple of other things I think we need to get fixed and focused on. Now, last week we talked about Saturn and Neptune dancing across the 0 degrees Aries point between now and 2026. That starts to happen late March, so right there, this same time frame. And also Saturn is late May. But this is coming. Saturn and Neptune coming. They will dip in, they'll come back, they'll go across again, they'll come back. It's going to be a yo-yo string right across 0 degrees Aries. Ray Merriman calls it the Aries vortex. And that was a term, I believe Cat Powell, one of his students, came up with that, and it encompasses all this other action. In July, Uranus starts the same thing across 0 degrees Gemini. Yo-yos back and forth. That happens all the way until late April 2026. So Uranus is going to be very slow to get itself into Gemini. Then in early June, Jupiter moves into Cancer. That, of course, is on top of Pluto having already entered Aquarius. So there are your big 5. The 5 outer planets all will have changed signs by the time this is all settled down. I mentioned last week that I am really feeling this Neptune concluding in Pisces, moving into Aries. There is a shift in spirituality, and it's going to become a more aggressive kind of putting it out there. I think for the last 15 years, if we go back to about 2012, we've been dealing with this internalization of our spirituality. Now it's going to be time to take it out. But we cannot right now especially ignore the fact that Aries and its ruler Mars represent conflict and war. And then Uranus in Gemini has been in the Revolutionary War, the Civil War, and World War II. Will that repeat? or could the conflict come in some other kinds of ways? But remember, back then, Uranus did not have Saturn and Neptune dancing across 0 degrees Aries vortex, and thus flirting with its ruling planet Mars, the god of war. Now that's, to a degree, big picture stuff. What do you and I do with this? Well, remember Uranus, which is moving into Gemini, which is all about communications and even technology to some degree, is the ruling planet of Aquarius, where Pluto is. So this upheaval in all of these areas, and we're already seeing it. We've been talking about it for years. Now it's here. Now we have AI, and now we have a whole AI committee. Lord only knows where this is going to go. I think each of us needs to intuitively get with our soul and ask and be looking at, and this is where getting astrology readings could also come in very handy, because the chart will give you some direction in this too. It won't lay out everything, but it will hint like, hey, you might look over here. I think everybody right now needs an extra source of income or two. And I know you say, wait a minute, I already am working 13, 14, 15, 16 hours with one job taking care of my family. This is where you have to get with your intuition. Do a lot of praying. How may I be of service in these coming changes? Ask, how am I going to get paid in this coming changing economy, whatever it is? I'll do my same before I go driving. I'll do my same little test and I'll say, am I going to just be okay here? You know, the answers are written in infinity and we can tap into them. And certainly the lens of astrology through all of the available types of readings, a consultation chart, a horary chart, or just taking a look at the transits and solar arcs and secondary progressions of your own chart can go a long ways. The really good one coming is going to be Jupiter moving into Cancer, because that's ruled by the moon, which is our connection to our intuition. So this is a really good 6-month window to clean out your pipeline between you and the home office. If there's anything that is in your life that you know could inhibit that open channel of information, that two-way street, prayer is us talking to God, intuition is God talking to us. Well, clear that channel out, because you're going to really want to tap into it, and it will only get stronger as Jupiter moves in, and that's early June. And I'll just end with this. I think we have to be really careful here, seeking advice from others as to what to do. The answers for you are going to be inside you. But something that somebody else thinks you or I should do in the coming situations is just their opinion from their perspective, and it may have nothing to do with your individual situation or your highest timeline or your spiritual path. So I think we need to support each other, but don't tell each other what to do. See, there's a thin line there. Teach and point to intuition and practice it. Hey, we have 2 great episodes coming up. Kristin tomorrow, Elisa on Friday, and then I'll see you back on Saturday. Have a wonderful Valentine's with the people in your life who you love. And for me, that is you. Happy Valentine's Day from old Uncle Thomas. Have a great one. Thanks for listening.